welcome back to the second part of my Indiana Jones series, and today I'm talking about Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. A kind of controversial movie for many different reasons. This film is a prequel that takes place 1 year before Raiders of the Lost Ark. As a result of a mission gone wrong, Indiana Jones finds himself in India along with a kid, Short Round, and an American singer, Willie Scott. Upon reaching a devastated village, Indy is tasked with retrieving a rock of supernatural properties that was stolen from the villagers by a secret cult. I can just imagine the massive weight that Spielberg had on his shoulders coming off of Raiders, this very successful film, this icon. And to try to follow up that film that, like I said, it was just contained magic. How could he possibly follow that up in a way that was actually worthy of a legacy, the same legacy that Raiders has? There are people that don't like this film. It's not quite as good as Raiders, but I think it is a magnificent sequel on a lot of different fronts. And one of the things that this film really excels at is that it's a very different film from Raiders. Spielberg didn't repeat himself on this one. Just the simple fact that this film is a prequel doesn't add too much to the story that this takes place 1 year before Raiders, but it's definitely something unique. It's just this separate adventure of Indiana Jones, and it doesn't feel like it has to connect to Raiders. It's its standalone thing. But also, this is a much darker film than Raiders of the Lost Ark. So dark, in fact, that it's actually my mom's least favorite chapter in the series. She still likes it, and she still gets enjoyment out of it. She still likes seeing Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones, but it's the one for her that she watches the least and that she overall enjoys the least because it does go to some gross out stuff. This film, in a lot of places, comes off as a horror film. Hearts are being ripped out and people are drinking blood out of this head that has a spout coming out of the mouth, and just some dark themes in this film where it's dealing with child slavery and voodoo and human sacrifice, and it's just some unforgettable scenes. But I'm just surprised that Spielberg was able to pull off a PG with this film. Infamously, this film and Gremlins led to the creation of the PG-13 rating. So that's an interesting origin there, but I'm just surprised that Spielberg was able to get a PG in the first place, because this, wow. I knew going into this film that it was dark. The side of me that really enjoys horror was really excited to see the film for those reasons. But I was still surprised at some of the stuff that I forgot was in this movie. This film also, it allows for more of the production design of these locations to stand out. Where in certain aspects you get more attention on the palace, but then also you get a lot of detail with the location of the cult, the design of this human sacrifice altar, I guess I would call it, amplified by dark reds and oranges and just emphasizing hell and the evil of what these people are doing. This film has an interesting arc for Indiana Jones, where the plot, unlike Raiders, where he's thrown into this adventure because the US government is paying him to get the Ark of the Covenant, he needs help from this village, but they need his help in getting these stones. But then he notices that these rocks are actually significant, and he's instantly drawn into the artifact side of this conflict. But then once he realizes the darkness that's underneath the surface with the children of this village being enslaved, that's when he gets more of an emotional attachment. You get the character of Short Round in this film, which he's a character that he can risk being annoying, but he really isn't. He also gets to do some really important stuff in this movie. He actually saves Indiana Jones in this film. Gotta be honest, that sequence was surprisingly compelling. It touches on a deeper relationship these characters have, like a father-son dynamic, because Short Round lost his parents in a bombing, and Indiana Jones, of course, doesn't have any kids. And a moment in this film once Short Round saves Indiana Jones, and they have a hug. That was surprisingly heartfelt for such a dark movie. But I was really glad that in the midst of everything happening, this film could still find that emotional current. When you get to Mola Ram, he's not quite as good of a villain as Belloc was. He doesn't have that great villain dynamic that I was talking about in Raiders that Belloc has with Indiana Jones. But what Mola Ram lacks as far as that, he makes up in just being this evil character. He has this gaze with his eyes that is kind of scary. He has a great intro in this film, which I can't imagine being this actor, having this on your resume, and just being able to tell people the way my villain was introduced in this film is that I ripped out this guy's heart. And as this guy is being burned alive, his heart is flaming in my hand. If this guy didn't get other big roles after this, that was wasted potential. He's not a developed villain. He's just there to be evil. He plays evil outstandingly. There are some incredible action set pieces. At a certain point, it just gets to like memorable sequence after memorable sequence where you go from the minecart chase and then you go to the bridge. And it's just Spielberg able to find creative ways of doing an action sequence inside of this very different location from Raiders. I only have a couple of gripes with this film, and the character of Willie Scott is actually one of them. This character is a mixed bag for me. She's materialistic, and she's put in a lot of scenarios in this film where she has to step out of her comfort zone, and there's a lot of funny moments that come with that. But overall, she is a weak female character. They kind of went backwards with that representation, and my mom agreed with that Marion was a much better character. And the romance that she has with Indiana Jones, it's yeah, you don't buy it. It's underdeveloped, and they're mostly there to just kind of have this flirty back and forth. It's fun, but it's not at all really that compelling. And it is an hour until you get to the stuff that's really compelling about this film, that you get to the really dark stuff of the movie and our villain. And I just wish that in that first hour is still classic and a lot of great sequences and these characters that you enjoy spending time with, but I wish that there was more in that first hour that matched the second half of the movie. It's not something I have a hard issue with. It was just something that was weaker about the film. But in the end, in my opinion, this film is another classic. It is another fantastic installment in this franchise. It's not quite as good as Raiders, but it might just be the most unique film in this franchise. I am going to give Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom an A. Guys, stay tuned for my review of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which that film has always been one of my personal favorites. As always, if you enjoy what you see here, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications of future reviews like The Last Crusade. Make sure to hit the like button, and I'll see you guys next time.